Good evening, everyone. Welcome, John Henry Soto here. Welcome to the show. We are so excited this evening because we have an amazing guest. David Pomeranz is on the show. Sometimes I talk a little bit too much, as George knows, and I don't want to do that today because I want to get right into it. I'm going to actually turn it over to George so he can actually give us a little bio. Now, I printed out his bio. I almost ran out of ink because it was just so incredible. So, George, do the best you can because there's a lot there. So, but let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sir. And again, David Pomeranz is here, and we are so excited to have him. It's a pleasure and an honor. So let me just chat a little bit about him. Described by Billboard magazine as one of our finest voices, David Pomeranz recording and songwriting projects have earned him a total of 22 platinum and 18 gold albums, selling out over 40 million records internationally. David is an accomplished musician, composer, producer, singer, songwriter who has been recorded and or performed by a wide range of artists, including Barry Manilow, Bette Midler, Kenny Loggins, Freddie Mercury, Richie Sambora. David has also performed with the likes of the Carpenters, George Benson, Steve Martin, Steely Dan, and Rod Stewart, just to name a few. As a vocalist, David's was the voice heard each week singing a theme to the classic ABC hit series Perfect Strangers, and David would also be heard singing this coming season on an episode of the popular TV series Only Murders in the Building, starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And I'm out of breath, but ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring on Mr. David Pomeranz.
Hello.
There he is.
Hi, George. Hi, John.
All
Hi, how are you?
right.
Thank you
guys.
so much for doing this. This is an honor for us. We're so happy to have you on here. I've been a fan for years, and it's just been it's amazing to have you here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be with you.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. And like we were talking right before we went on, we like to really focus on the artists and any challenges and and the fun stuff about it. We want to actually be light about it. We want to have fun as artists as well, and kind of revitalize that if we can with anybody that's watching, that's out there that's want to kind of thinking about kind of getting back in or whatever. We just want to revitalize that because it's so important. So George he's more official. He kind of writes down questions. This one, but
It's called being organized.
yeah. I'm learning from him. So I'm going to turn it over to George. He's got the first question, and then we're going to rock and roll.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, this is an honor for me. So, first of all, from what I understand, you come from a very musical family, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that John and I talk about a lot on this show is that moment, when we're younger, just starting out in the music business, that moment where we said, music is going to be in my life forever. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. What was that moment like for you when you said, okay, this is it, music, I'm moving forward with it?
Oh, that's actually there's an exact answer, and it seems like impossible, but it's really true. I was 5 years old. I'm from Long Island. You guys are from the Bronx. We're just down the street.
Absolutely.
Right? And my grandparents are from the Bronx, by the way.
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so there I am, 5 years old. My parents played everything for me, and they played everything for themselves. They had everything from Tchaikovsky to Broadway shows, Dave Brubeck, Harry Belafonte, whatever was happening, Elvis. They loved him.
Of course.
And but one day, I was listening to the original cast album of West Side Story. And something happened. You call it an epiphany, call it a something, but it was so deep for me, that music and those lyrics. Although I was 5 years old, I probably didn't recognize what the lyrics meant very well. Right. But there was something about the vibe of that music, and I knew that was. It was a seminal moment. It's not like I decided, okay, I'm going to be in the music business or I'm going to do music, but it was more like I want to be near this thing. I want to drink it. I want to eat it.
Right.
I want to have it. It was the nearest thing to religion that I
Yeah.
found.
Yeah.
And so that is literally what happened. And where I decided, I guess, that there's nothing else I wanted to do.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think I remember my uncles all played guitar, and he left his guitar case on my grandpa's bed, my grandparents' bed. And I went in there and I unlatched it, and I just went like this with the strings, and it went, and that was my, like, I don't know what that is, but whatever effect I just did, whatever I created, whatever effect I did, I want to do that. And that was it. I think I was probably about 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. Was it in tune? I mean,
you know what?
Was tuned up?
Probably. I'm sure it was. I mean, my uncles were playing it. Yeah. He was. All my uncles played growing up, so it was always around. And my grandparents had a really good. I was raised mainly by my grandparents, but they had a good record collection.
Wow.
And it was all Spanish, but then my mom really turned me into all, Santana and
wow.
And Barry Manilow, Air Supply. She loved all that, and so I got a whole education in a lot of different fields. Let me ask you how I mean it's such an incredible moment, when that happens to a child. It's like I want to be able to do that for my kids. I think it's so important that parents expose their kids to like music and to different types of art, because you never know what's the one thing that's gonna hit. It's like what comes to mind when you think of that moment as far as like that ignition, because it's such a powerful moment, because look what it's done.
Well, I mean, I think you're right in terms of exposing kids to everything.
Right.
There's art everywhere. It's music. You go through the city and there's architecture, and you just go look at the Chrysler building. Look at that thing.
Yes.
And so it's just but you're dead right. It's just to inspire them to look around and get the idea that it is everywhere. Yeah. And whether they want to make it professionally or not,
right?
Art is totally beside the point. It's part of their lives.
Yeah, and it's almost like at that moment, you don't necessarily think, "Oh, this is going to be my profession." You just, like what you said, is perfect. I just want to absorb this.
Yeah,
whatever this is makes me feel fantastic. I just want it.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes.
Georgia,
amazing. Yeah. So and kind of piggybacking on that theme, because a lot of kids, like, for example, I was in music, and John was one of the people who helped me really decide that music was going to be, in my life forever. He helped me out with that. Yeah, he did, actually. He introduced
How long
me.
did you guys known each other? Since you're little kids?
Yeah, we grew up together, literally.
I knew George, but when he was shorter than me, so. Now
we're like this.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because as a little kid, I was always banging on pots and pans. I'm a drummer, from whoever doesn't know, I am a drummer, even though I love guitar too, and I have guitars all over the place. But I was always banging on pots and pans. So rhythm was always part of my life.
Yes.
And but John introduced me to certain artists when I became a teenager that I didn't even know existed. Huh. And I was blown away. He came with these CDs. He gave me these CDs, and I was like, I have to do this. I have to figure out how I'm going to do this and communicate, because it was in me. I just had to get it out. And this is when John and I actually started playing together and really doing that. And the whole thing with kids, when we're talking about kids, is yourself, you grew up in that family. Yeah. Was there ever a time for you where it was like, in other words, like there's a lot of parents out there who think, well, my kid will do music for a little while, but then he'll get over it and, become a teacher or become, exactly. Go get it. Exactly. Yeah. And you hear this thing, and it was, my family wasn't really, none of them were artistic in that respect as far as playing music or anything like that. So music wasn't a big deal for them. So when I played music, it was like, he's playing music and he's actually out there performing. So my question is, was everybody always supportive along that journey?
Oh, sure. Well, my parents are they're hams, you know, in the very best way. They all sing. Everyone in my family sings. My sister, my mom plays the piano. She sings. My dad could have been, you know, there were singers back then like, you know, Vic Damone and
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? You're like
Yeah.
a real crooner, beautiful,
Crooner,
gorgeous
yeah.
voice. And so we'd all sit around the piano and sing. We'd make up stuff like even like doo-wop songs, you know, and you know, so it was everywhere. So the answer to your question is there, of course.
Yeah.
You know, let's hit everyone. We'd have uncles and aunties come on Sunday, and we'd sit around,
Nice.
big Jewish family, you know, and we'd all perform for each other. I would do like, you know, Jackie Mason routines and Bill Cosby routines, you know,
Awesome.
Yeah.
and they loved it, you know, and I went, oh, they're laughing, wee, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And we'd all sing and like that. And also the synagogue was a big thing.
Oh, okay.
In my
Yes.
in my religion, we had, well, you know what religious music sends me. Any religious music.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I did a Christmas album where I'm singing "Oh Holy Night," and these, you know, like Ave Maria is the most beautiful song ever written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
For
it's
sure.
incredible.
Yes.
But but in the Jewish thing, you know, the minor key and the I was going to say the pain, yeah, the pain, but the heart and soul of that music, and I would just cry, and you know, and.
Yeah.
So it was everywhere, and they were very proud that I went ahead and did what I did.
Nice.
Yeah, they were part of it.
It's a big reason why you actually were able to also educate, and because you told this great story. I follow your social media, and you do this scrapbook where you talk about these great stories. Yeah, and you mentioned one of them. You said that you were talking to a group of kids. And you said you wanted to play them this piece of music.
Yeah.
And at first they were all like, it was like this classical music from like 1950 or something.
Right, exactly. It was old.
It was old, yeah. And but then afterwards they were just like stunned.
Yeah.
And that's the exposure that we
Yes.
talk about. You know, it's that kind of power.
Sure.
You know, they would have never heard that if it hadn't been for you.
Perhaps true.
Yeah.
Well, and that was Candide. It was another
Candide.
Leonard Bernstein
Okay.
composition,
right.
as adventurous as that thing is.
Yeah.
And I just knew, I knew, I mean, I had heard it, and I remember when I first heard it, it was loud, and it's very, very,
Yeah.
very, you know, it changes keys every, you know, 12 seconds.
Right.
Bang, wham, flat. Like, wow. And I just knew that, you know, that modern audiences, modern kids who are interested in songwriting and song structure and had never heard this stuff. And it was as rock and roll as anything they'd ever heard. And they got it because it is.
Yeah. Well, I went, after that clip, I went to go listen to it, and you're out of breath.
The overture, right? Yeah.
The overture, you're like literally out of breath at the end of it. It's like,
Yeah, that's really right.
it's so powerful. It's incredible.
That guy, did you see the Bernstein movie, Maestro? Did you see
I
it?
haven't yet. No.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Bradley Cooper. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
but he was that guy. He talk about on fire.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
man. So in control of what he wanted to communicate.
yeah, that's right.
Incredible.
That's right.
So looking back on your on the journey, what are some of the key factors? Like, you know, because you're creating, you want to stay authentic, but you also want, you know, you're thinking also commercial. You want people to hear it. You know, that part, that's always fascinating to me. That whole I don't know if it's a struggle, but it's maybe something that you have to think with. Like, I want to do something creative. I want to do whatever I want to do, but at the same time, you want people to hear it.
Yeah, I know.
And record companies, and you know, is that something? How do you work with that?
Well, I have too many stories to tell on that, but I'll give you one. And the idea is, at the end of the day, I mean, because I alienated record companies, I alienated star record executives, for that very reason,
Wow.
that I wouldn't, I'd give them my songs. I wanted to write all my songs. And one of them said, we're going to get you some outside songs. And I said, in my infinite wisdom, no.
Nice.
No, I want my own songs. And that didn't go very far. But what I realized was, ideal scene is you do both. And the commercialness is only the fact that it communicates to people. That's all it means. Let me just get rid of this.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in the center of it, meaning not me as a person, but me as a person, it's personal to me. Yeah. And I'm at the piano or whatever, and it's meaning something, and it's moving me as I'm writing, and I'm thinking things like, yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're onto something, and it doesn't have a lot to do with anything to do with this is going to sell 1 million records.
Right.
It never even occurs to me, But if I can hop on that train, it's very fortunate, and I work very hard to finish it authentically as I can. Yeah. And those songs have either been hits, and if they've not been hits, they wound up being my favorite songs.
Right.
Things I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Because I've done it. I've done it the other way too. I try to cheat. I try to cheat and get a hit, and say I'm going to write a hit, and it's going to have this thing, and it's going to sound like that thing on the radio.
Yeah.
It worked once. I had a hit record that I wrote that way, and I was a little embarrassed, honestly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that to anybody.
Right.
Of course.
Right. They'd say, "Oh, I really like your song," and I go, "Yeah, well, okay, thank you very much." So what's for dinner, Because I knew that it wasn't authentic. But generally, it doesn't work, and people can smell it a mile away. I can smell it today with other people. Can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
When you hear somebody who's really invested, versus someone who's just sort of, wants a hit, and it sounds like this. It's got the bass drum thing, and it's got all the soundscape.
Auto tunes to death.
Yeah. Oh, auto tunes, yeah. Anyway, but it's
that's so interesting. You see that in Hollywood also, with just the stories, because there's so many. Like, I don't know how people even run out of stories to tell. There's billions of stories. Like, I can look right now and see the cashier at a supermarket and see and right there's a story. I can write something there. But for some reason, Hollywood seems to be gravitating towards the same kind of the safe stories, I guess, what they think is safe. Mm-hmm. And I hear that in music too. It's like safe. It's like these 4 bars with these 4 chords.
Sure. Well, it is a business.
True.
And especially the movie business. That's an expensive.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Risky business. You know better than any of us here. But. So I don't think it's necessarily that they're necessarily shallow at the top, or they're looking to just cash in, but they have to cash in.
They have to.
Yeah.
Stakes are too high.
Yeah.
So, but every once in a while, well, like in music, let's say John Legend comes and writes, All of Me Loves All of You.
Right.
Freaking piano vocal, and the whole radioscape turns upside down.
That's right.
People go, "What, mommy? What's that?"
Yeah.
Where's the drums? What's happening? It's this organic, beautiful thing, and it shines right. It just comes right through.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible, very possible, to keep that alive.
Absolutely, and it's what you said earlier, the communication. That's what really is. It just communicates really well, and if it's authentic,
yes,
then it was going to communicate.
Absolutely, yeah,
And that's the key
sure,
thing. Wow.
yeah.
Were you writing songs very young? And that's first part of my question. And the second part is when your first song that you wrote was actually out there and became a hit. How did that feel?
Well, yes, thank you. I wrote songs very young, maybe 13, 14. It's
Okay.
not very, very young, but
Right.
it's young enough. I used to play them for my parents and la la. And they were kind of okay. My first one was called Queen Cleopatra, which was pretty cute. It involved here. It goes Queen Cleopatra was irresistible. Big words.
Yeah, big.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Owl and the cat were nonsensical, but you and I would be inseparable if you were in love with me.
Wow.
How I use and the Trojan horse was unbelievable. Oh, Achilles' heel was impregnable.
Wow.
That was like 13 years old. You're writing that?
Yes, I don't know where I got impregnable. I have no idea.
Where'd you get Achilles' heel? That was even.
Achilles, I don't know.
That's so amazing.
I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I was doing that stuff, and then the first time I heard one of my songs recorded, it wasn't a hit necessarily,
Okay.
but it was with Lou Rawls,
Oh, okay.
and Lou Rawls had that big, sonorous, great,
Yeah.
full voice, and it was called "Let It Be Now," and it was one of my first songs, and that was my first record, and
Wow.
and I remember getting the record home. We were living in LA, in Malibu, and we put it on the record player, and it was cool, and there was the tune, and then Lou Rawls comes and sings it. Let me just touch you, baby. He does this thing, and then in the middle of it, he goes into this talkie thing. This old school talkie thing.
Okay.
My darling, let it be now. And I'm like, no, no, Lou, what hast you done? You know not what's you do.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, that was the first one. But come on, it was Lou Rawls, and it was on a record. It actually had an album cover and everything.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's got to be challenging as a songwriter when you have you turning over your baby to someone, and hopefully you want them to kind of do right by it, and then they'll do something that but I guess that's part of the
Sure, it's theirs. It's over to them at that point.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit about your with Barry Manilow and that relationship.
Oh, well, I was signed to Arista. The first artists in Arista were Melissa Manchester, Barry, myself, and Eric Carmen.
Oh, okay.
Those guys.
Wow.
And so Barry got I'm trying to think of how that happened. Yeah, the demo of Trying to Get the Feeling Again. It was written for the Carpenters. And
okay.
But Bette Midler heard the demo of it, my piano voice demo, and Barry was producing Bette.
Okay.
Oh, right. Because
He played it for him.
Yeah.
And so that's how he heard it, and then he recorded it. And it turned out the Carpenters finally did record it, but never released it, I guess because of Barry's hit.
Right.
And they released it posthumously after Karen was gone. They did put it out, and it's lovely, by the way. You can hear. It's so lovely. She's doing it's a rough vocal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's the first take, and you hear the pages of the lyric. You hear the pages falling. She'll finish the page and then drop it on the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's lovely. It's lovely. You can hear it. It's out there. But and then the old songs, which Barry also recorded, was from one of my albums. So he had heard it off of an album that I had done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. You never know.
No,
You
you
never
just no. Karen was such an
You
incredible.
just put it out there. You just
It's just amazing. It's just
finds its
amazing.
way.
Yeah. Now with the now the hits you got, this is happening now, and you're there, and you're like you were mentioning with Arista Records. What was the tell us about overcoming a challenge, something that you kind of, that crossroads where you mentioned a little bit earlier about record companies saying, when to bring you outside songs and stuff.
Sure.
What was something that you can share with the audience that was like a moment that you had to make a tough decision?
Well, I learned that that one has to keep their integrity, and like we were talking about before we actually went on the air, as an artist, and at the same time, the power of yes is a lot more productive. And that's my takeaway, because I had, as I mentioned, I had told a particular executive that I wouldn't do it, and then it didn't go anywhere, and then I started to make more albums with it, and it changed my mind. And I did, cover a couple of other people's tunes, tunes that I liked,
right,
and it was fine. It was no crime,
right?
Remember, James Taylor cut "Handyman" and "How Sweet It Is."
That's right.
Up on the roof.
He made it on the roof. He made it his own. So my takeaway was yes, and a lot of whatever success I've had came from that viewpoint. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is the thing that we've talked about a lot on this show. That exact. That exact concept of saying yes, because there were a lot of times where John and I were back and forth with this whole thing. We're like, do we do this? How many times, John, did you and I play, in the beginning to these clubs that our family was there and that was it, or a couple of people showed up maybe. And, it's very easy to get frustrated, especially in those years, especially. And you're like, do we really want to keep doing this? We love music, we love doing this, but then we have to drag the gear, and we have to do this, and we have to show. So it's that concept. And I love the way you say that, because it's so true. It is so true, because there's also been those times where we've said, yes, let's do it. And something amazing came out of it.
Right.
And like you say, you never know what's going to happen. Take those, that it's that old phrase that I think one of the basketball players said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
And it's so true. So the power of yes is absolutely a powerful force.
Yeah. And
jump at it.
Yeah, exactly. And George, I was doing a live stream show, during a few years ago, and George just messaged me one day. He's like, "Hey, maybe we should do something. We talk a lot,
right.
and we have good chemistry, and we played in the band. We got stuff to talk about."
Yeah.
I was like, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's do it," and here we are with David Pomeranz. So you say yes.
No, but we are good at it. It makes sense, and for you not to have done it would have been like, what?
Yeah, and
we've heard a big nothing.
Yeah, we've gotten so many nice compliments from from the guests, and it's just been a joy to do this. So yes, that's interesting. That's an interesting learning point, because it's not something you even hear sometimes. You don't really hear that many people say. You also hear people say it's okay to say no. That's like a thing. It's okay to say no. You hear that a lot more, and I think it's not about saying the no. It's about looking at the possibility of why you're saying no.
Sure.
And maybe seeing something else and coming to a point that maybe that can be a yes. Getting out of your own head, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. And sometimes it's a good point, because sometimes no for the right reason, which is it's not on my path, or it doesn't feel right. I that also can open a door,
Right.
You can't say yes to everything, and then you sort of like, you're a little kind of like a little, can be like a whore,
Right.
Exactly.
That can be, but individually, I'm sure I can speak for you guys, knowing you a little bit,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the yes What's exciting about the yes is that you jump. You just jump. You dive. You jump. I can't. I don't want to. What if? Talky. And you just freaking jump. And chances are you can get in trouble. Right? When you jump and risk. And that doesn't mean it's not working.
That's true. Very true.
Right?
Very true.
So you jump and it's go, oh my God, everything's, confusion. What do I do? And I was the wrong thing to do. And now I've alienated my friend, and I said, what a mess. And you just kind of suck it in and go, okay, what happened here?
Yeah. Right.
As analytical about it as possible. And I find you just use communication to fix anything.
Right.
That's right.
You can't screw it up if you're willing to fix it. And it's because it's people, so if you've alienated somebody or you did something wrong, okay, acknowledge, hey, you know what, screwed up, sorry, I still love you, let's have a beer.
Right.
Absolutely.
Nothing has to break. Right. It's only when something bad, quote, bad happens from that risk, and you don't and you withdraw. Right. And you go hide or make decisions about it. I never should have. I'll never do it again.
Right. That's
just know that when you jump, you take responsibility for the jump. You're flying into the air. It's what you wanted. You go for it. If you land 20 steps to the left or right of what you wanted, okay, not bad.
Yeah.
20 steps.
Right.
20 steps. Like golfing, you don't have to get a hole in one. You could be in the sand.
Right.
Okay. But you're on the course. You're playing the freaking game.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is where the growth comes in too, because you grow as a person when you do that, right? You make those decisions. All of a sudden, you see the world differently. It's like, and going back to John and I in doing this, I have a health show that I do on the side of this as well, and I used to do it, because I'm a health coach. So I used to do an audio, and I was very comfortable with doing audio because I didn't want to be on video. I always told John I was deer in the headlights on video, and John would always tell me, you should just turn the camera on and do it. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm sweating. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to look terrible. I'm going to look, oh my God, And then one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Just jump in and do it. And I did it. Beautiful. And, it took me a long time to kind of get used to it, but now I've grown.
How many shows
I'm getting.
What did you say?
I said, how many shows have you done now?
Yeah, now it's 256 shows now.
Really?
And yeah. God. And and I'm just getting good now, but the point is that I've grown as a person. Yeah. Whereas now I'm way more comfortable on the camera, and and people are actually now enjoying the material and stuff like that. And at the same time, I get to create because I'm an artist, right? I get to create this, and John and I get to create together, and I also get to communicate my message of health and nutrition and fitness and all this, which is something that I'm also passionate about aside from music. So it's really kind of a whole comprehensive thing for me, that I'm doing this, and the growth is there. So again, it's a great thing for artists to kind of take with them. It's a great thing.
What y'all talking about, I'll say y'all because I'm in Nashville. what y'all talking about also that viewpoint creates freedom.
Yes.
You feel free when you realize, I can jump and I'm going to be fine because I can communicate, and wherever I land, I know I'm going to be able to land,
right,
look around,
right,
and then go.
But because you're on the board. You're on the game board.
Exactly.
You're playing.
Like the candles.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the game begins, right?
Right.
Yeah, like you say, and then you grow and you learn it, and then I screwed that up. Let's do that better next time. Blah blah, whatever it is. But you're in the game and you're playing it.
Yeah. And I think that's so important to get that communication to artists that are maybe not just feel they've been invalidated in some way, or they just don't feel that they're growing. It's sort of like, but you're in the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's like here in Nashville, like I go out a lot and I see it and I'm like, man, there are so many artists here who are incredible, who are in the game.
Yes, sir.
And they're playing at a high level and they're having a ball. And it's,
Yes,
to me,
they
it's
are.
like, that's the game, man. That's what it's about.
Yes.
You know, I love that.
Right. And you come at the end of the day and you've had, well, especially in Nashville, you know, you sit with, do you, when you're in Nashville, do you write on your own mostly, or do you write in groups or what?
Right now, actually, it's their material, and I'm just learning their material. I have written 3 records with George before, so I've actually recently, George and I started working on some material, and I just sent him something last night, and he sent me back his drum
technology, man.
drum track. So we're kind of putting stuff together as well. Yeah, I mean,
so you put drums on his track.
That's exactly what we're working on. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the game, like you said, you know, and I love that, and I think I'm going to start saying that a lot because it's so true. Yeah. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about musical theater.
Yeah,
because I grew up, you know, my mom, like I said, my mom played a lot of records for us and stuff, but she was really much into musical theater, which, you know, a Puerto Rican from the Bronx generally is not into musical theater, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's not, like West Side Story was kind of big, you know, because obviously Rita Moreno was like, you know, a god in our community, you know.
Sure. Yeah, Lin-Manuel wasn't here yet, so
Lin-Manuel was not born yet.
I understand, but then, sure.
Yeah, but she would play like all these musical theater things, and then she introduced me to musical theater films, where I saw, you know, Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and all those incredible films of that era. And I just fell in love with it. You know, I was just like, man, this is so great. And yes, it's, you know, they're in love and suddenly they're singing and dancing and they've almost like rehearsed this routine, but they just met. I love that. That's so fun, you know. And you're saying, you said earlier, you're working on a musical piece.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've written 7 of them.
Right.
We did Broadway, you know, blah blah blah. But you know what? I just want to say something because you said is so wonderful, because when you see, you know, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and you see those people. What I see now, I mean, when I first was a kid and I saw it, and I went, "Wow, that's so gorgeous! Whoa, beautiful," or boring. I was like,
right.
All right, like, you know, come on, let's go, hurry up. But now, the specificity, the work that they put into that, right?
Yes.
Yo, and I mean, and they were, I mean, Fred Astaire as an example, Gene Kelly, all, you know, those guys, they were professional, boy.
Yes.
They were incredible.
Asshole. And Ginger Rogers is famous for saying, you know, her feet would bleed rehearsing those numbers that are so effortless on the thing. You know, heaven, I'm in heaven, and their spirit is flying, and they're just waltzing around and stuff. No.
It's
hundreds of hours of
easily
killer to get that effect. Sorry, what were you going to say?
You know, I was going to say, to add to that, there's a clip with Fred Astaire where I think it's called Drumstick. I'm not sure if that's the name of the song.
Yeah.
Right? There's like one camera. I look because I'm a filmmaker. I know when they cut, you know, and I'm not going to get tricked. So I see, but it was literally one camera, this whole thing with elaborate, like the sticks hitting on the floor, bouncing back up again. I mean, I was thinking, how many takes did he do? You know, and who knows? Maybe he didn't do that many because he just practiced so much.
He was
those guys.
Yeah, that's
Gene
true.
Kelly too.
That's true. But even guys now, I mean,
yes,
it does. I mean, the pros in whatever field,
anything,
they just work it until it's right, and it has to be right, you know.
Yeah.
And I heard Spielberg talk the other day on the Smart List thing, you know, the podcast they do, and he was saying they asked him, was he ever been satisfied? What was the most satisfying movie he's ever done? Steven freaking Spielberg. He said, "I've never been satisfied."
Wow.
I mean, I've liked things,
right?
But basically, I've never made the movie that I really wanted to make here.
Yeah.
That's Spielberg. That's Schindler's List, E.T., Close Encounters, Spielberg.
Yeah.
And so so you go for it, I guess, right? You just work until it goes, yeah, you just kind of step away from it and go, okay,
Yeah.
good enough. That's cool. That worked.
Yeah, I've heard Scorsese say that too. Like he said once he was sitting in the theater and he's looking, and I think it was Goodfellas, and he's looking at it and he was just like, oh, why did I do that? Like, why did I do? I'm like, you're Scorsese. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're fully 100% satisfied, it's kind of a scary place. I think you want to be looking for that next growth. You want to be looking for better and and not necessarily, wow, I did it, it's perfect. You know, be happy.
Yeah, I mean, you go for it.
Yeah,
it could happen. It could happen. Yeah. I tell you a really quick funny story. You know Frank Capra, right? It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
Wonderful
Life.
Yeah. Right. But he also did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and I mean, he's my favorite film director.
Yeah,
but
James Stewart is my favorite actor, by the way.
Who is James Stewart?
James Stewart is my favorite actor. Yeah. George can tell you that.
Yes.
So natural, so lovely,
just incredible,
just himself. So he makes It's a Wonderful Life, and everybody knows, and most people don't know that was not a hit when it came out.
It was not.
Now it's a Christmas classic because of TV, right. But when it came out in the theaters, the critics panned it and said, "Oh, it's corny," and they called it Capricorn, right? Like Capricorn, and they said, "Oh, please, we need realism now," or whatever. Anyway, so years later. I love the movie. I grew up with it on TV, and I bought a print of it, a really good 16 millimeter print of It's a Wonderful Life before video, right? And we used to go to AFI screening room in the American Film Institute in LA, and every Christmas, my wife and I would screen It's a Wonderful Life for our friends.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nice.
And one year, we invited Frank Capra.
Oh, wow.
And he he said that he couldn't make it. His wife is ill at the time, and he thanked us. And the guy I did it with, did the presentations with, Dick Michaels. He was a film director, and he knew Capra, so I didn't know him. Anyway, so we do the screening. It's what it is. Everyone's crying. It's a Wonderful Life.
Sure.
And the next morning, we get a phone message from Frank Capra.
Oh.
He says, this is Frank Capra now. He says, about the screening, how did it go? Did they like it?
Oh my God.
He too would probably looked at that and went, "Oh Jesus! Oh no! Not that! Oh, not that! No, why did I do that? Ow! Ow! Ow!"
Oh my gosh! Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's true. So there's your point right there.
Yeah,
it's an interesting dynamic because I find like even with the records that John and I have done, right after we did them, and I'm like my own worst critic when I listen back to stuff, right? And I listen back and I'm like, okay, that's good, but yeah, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. No, I could have changed something there. So I always do that. But then what's interesting is I won't listen to it for a few years, and then I'll come back, and it's like it's brand new.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, that was really good.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing that happens sometimes, but it's all of a sudden becomes a brand new piece of music to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find that fascinating.
Luckily, I've always been perfect. So John and his solos and everything he does is spot on. Never had a problem. I was always the one that always have to do retake.
Yeah. It's George's fault.
It's always George's fault. It's the drummer's fault. You know how it is, right? The drummers.
Of course. Gotta play rock. So George, what do you think? Well, what do you think of Ringo? Come on.
I love Ringo.
Okay, why?
I love Ringo. Ringo just had a feel.
Yeah.
Ringo, okay, he wasn't the most technical person in the world, but he didn't need to be for them.
No.
Okay, he had a nice get.
No, I was gonna say no. Go ahead, finish.
He had a beautiful feel, and really defined the drummer's job. In those records, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, at the end of the day, with drums, right?
Yeah.
To me, and I've taught drums and stuff like that, but my fundamental thing was, listen, the drummer's job is to lay that foundation, to have that time, to have it, and nice stuff can go on top of that. But if you don't have that time, if you don't have that foundation,
then it's
it doesn't work.
I mean, one thing I would say, because I just went on a Ringo rant talking with somebody, but was he maybe not the technical, but his creativeness.
Yes, agreed.
Such a creative drummer.
Agreed.
He would do things that a drummer would not normally do.
Yes.
Like things that you'd be like, a drummer would just
look
write it on the hi-hat and
come together. I mean, look at that rhythm there.
That's what I was thinking with.
Drummers weren't doing that at that time.
No. Not with washcloths on their drums.
Right, exactly.
But that's right. Completely creative. I mean, he really listened to those tunes.
Yes.
The McCartney, Lennon, and Harrison tunes, and played orchestrally.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, sure, he would never put it that way, but that's
right.
And the one, what is your? I could rant on this too, because I'm a geek like you are on the subject. But I was listening to 8 Days a Week the other day, and for some reason, it's not necessarily my favorite Beatle song or favorite Beatle record, but it could be my favorite Beatle record, and it's because the sound. It's also the producer of the recording.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's George Martin and Jeff Emerick at the engineer. It's the engineer too. There's a sound, and it's one sound, and it's the acoustic guitar, mic'd, bright,
right,
and jangly, right, and with enough compression on it so that it's like kind of fat.
Yeah,
it takes up space, and Ringo is playing hi-hat, half open hi-hat.
Yes,
right.
Ooh, I need your shing, shing,
with that shuffle feel, right? He's got that shuffle feel going.
Yeah, but so John Lennon is going kang, 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 kang.
Yeah,
he's going,
yes.
And it could have been, like you said, Johnny. It could have been like, do da do jo.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's not cute.
No.
It rocks like bleh. It rocks.
Yeah,
and that's what. Anyway, so
yeah. I mean, Ringo is for. I mean, we've had we've had on the show. We've had Kenny Aronoff on the show.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And we also had Steve Smith, the drummer from Journey, was
Nice.
on the show. So we've talked drumming.
Yeah, yeah.
So also, Ringo was a left-handed drummer who played a right-handed kit.
That's right.
So he couldn't roll the way this way. He would roll the other way, and then have to come back. And somehow that kind of like worked so perfectly. I mean, the Beatles for me, and we've talked about this again, I don't want to go into the Beatles, but the Beatles for me are like the best unit of musicians, in my opinion, that's ever just managed to find each other.
That's true.
With those 9 years that they did that. I just think that I just can't imagine anybody else to do that. Everything fits so well together. And I just saw the documentary. I don't know if you've probably seen the documentary, and it's so enlightening.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. So anyway, the Beatles. See, somehow we always go into the Beatles on every.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Why not? It's fun too.
Yeah, I love it. So can you talk a little bit about song sessions? You have, I think it's about 15 episods or that I've seen so far.
My friend and co-producer of it, Tony Rockcliffe, we decided that I wanted to get the guys who are masters at songwriting, and some of the older guys who people don't necessarily either know as the writers of these hits,
right?
And interview them, like we're doing here.
Okay.
And so we got Barry Mann, Man and Weil,
Yep. Yep.
and people go, okay, who's that? They go, Barry Manilow, and no.
Right.
No, no.
Right.
And Barry Mann wrote, You've Lost That Love and Feeling on Broadway, Only in America. Also, he wrote, was the Animal song? We gotta get out of this place.
Yeah.
It's the last thing we ever do. We got. Nobody knows that.
Unbelievable.
And then he writes somewhere out there. La, da, dee, dee, da.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote that.
And he co-wrote with Dan Hill. He wrote what's that? The famous Dan Hill hit. Sometimes when we touch,
yes.
too much. It's Dan's lyric.
I always love that song.
Wow.
It's Dan's lyric and it's Barry's music. So anyway, we talked to Barry. We talked to Alan Bergman, who wrote "The Way We Were," and talked with Richard Marx, who's a little more contemporary, and Melissa Manchester, and Rupert Holmes, who's a genius.
Oh yes.
We did almost 3 hours with Rupert.
Wow.
And it's up there. You can get it. Just download Song Sessions, David Pomeranz, and then so we did 15 of those, and it's a lot of fun.
That's so awesome. Yeah, and if you go to davidpomeranz.com, you can actually see it right there. You'll get. I haven't heard them all, but I'm gonna be listening to that one. I did hear the Barry Manilow one because I'm a
Barry Manilow is another one.
The Barry Manilow one. It's great.
Yeah.
Love it. So cool. So we're almost at the hour, if you can believe that. And I know I had a feeling that it would be one of these conversations where there'd be so much to ask and so many, but we appreciate you so much taking the time to spend with us. We'd love to anytime come back and we can talk Beatles and we could talk Ringo for the whole hour.
That's right. Yeah.
Whatever you wish. This is a joy. It truly is. Thanks for
you.
doing this.
Absolutely.
For the artists of the world, because it's so important.
Yeah.
People miss it, but you don't.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And just one of the things that we always ask our artists right before, is, some message. Obviously, the last 5 years have been really interesting years. But for artists that are out there, what message do you have for them as far as getting out and getting in the game? What we talked about earlier. You know?
Well, the message I would give is a simple one, and it's I kind of said it before. Do the aspect of it that you love, that you're fascinated with. Musically, some people would get into engineering. It's like the sounds and the EQs and the blah blah. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the art of it, and so be fascinated with it and get in it. Just get into it, and it's like any business or like anything on this earth. It's a social sport. So the idea is be seen, meet people, have them hear your stuff, collaborate, go to a party. And like you said before, you never know who's at that party, and somebody says, hey, John, play me your new tune, or John, about your movie, what do you do? Oh, I'm a movie maker. I'm looking for somebody like you.
That's right.
And you turn around and who is it? It's Martin Scorsese. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you never know. So the message is get out, play it, and meet lots and lots of people. And whatever the skill is that you love, do it a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I know people who are singers who they're shy. They want to wait until they're better. No. Sing at school, sing at the club, sing at a bar mitzvah, sing at home, sing to your dog. Sing.
Yeah.
Do it. And you will learn, you'll twig, as they say, on what it's like to communicate to an audience, what works, what doesn't work. Oh, they're bored now. Okay, I won't do that again. Whatever it is, whatever it is. The mechanics don't matter.
Right.
Just do it. Do it a
Doing
lot
this.
and love it. And you'll see where it takes you. It's going to take you good places. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. I love that. And I'm glad you mentioned going out and meeting people, because I think that because we're in this social media kind of world, I think people think that just because you met them online that you know them. And I'm like, no, you got to go there.
Yes.
Go,
Sure.
meet, shake hands, hug,
Yes,
play.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This is a hot life. It's hot. It's warm. It's like you say. It's mano a mano. That's the thing, that those agreements, those partnerships, that's what makes it go.
That's what it does. I love it.
And one last thing
Yeah.
is stick with it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't give it up,
Absolutely.
because it can get rough.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
It can get rough. Look, this is never going to freaking work. This is not. I should not be doing this. I hate this. Whatever it is, just keep doing it.
Keep going.
It's going to work.
But and if you find yourself not doing it, you're going to feel that drive that you need to do it. That there's something missing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that in those times where I haven't played for a long time, I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I'm missing. I need to get it out. I need to play. I need to express.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jiminy Crickets on your shoulder going, hey,
That's right. Absolutely.
hey.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
I want to give a little acknowledgement to some people here. It said David is not only monstrosely talented, he's wise.
Absolutely.
Annie Laven says,
Annie Laven, fantastic interview. Awesome.
And Jill Schwartz says, social sport is so inspirational. I love it.
oh, nice.
Absolutely.
Very,
This
very
is great.
cool.
So we were live. I forgot that.
That's right. We're alive. That's right.
Live.
Woohoo!
Yes.
There you
I
go.
love it. All right, David, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate you. You're awesome. And we learned so much. And
Thank you very much.
this is a great pleasure for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you. And I saw Harriet Schock there. You know Harriet. And if you don't, she should be on. She's a great songwriter and a beautiful singer and lovely person.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
absolutely.
I'll be reaching out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
My privilege. We'll see you again.
Okay.
Wow.
That's just home run right there.
That's
home run right there.
That's why we love doing this, because I get goosebumps through the whole thing. I want to go up, take my guitar right now, and
isn't that interesting how interesting how when we have interviews like this with gentlemen like this, I want to jump on my drums and create. I want to create right now. You know,
this is why we do this, because I know that there are people listening, and I know that they're feeling the same thing, and that's why it's so important that we continue to do this. But okay. Thank you so much to David. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. We appreciate you so much. We will see you all again next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you all. Appreciate you. God bless. We'll talk soon. And as always, peace.